my first source was my father, right? And at the same time, you know, he was in and out the household. And then his source was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. My parents, they first went up to UC Berkeley and they heard him speak. And it was my mother who first converted, then my father. So I think, you know, I think I speak for my brothers when I say that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been, you know, one of our greatest examples of masculinity and divine masculinity on the planet. And I don't think anyone can argue that there's a greater example in our midst today, right? And I was talking with Queen Afua the other day, and she talked about how her son, you know, grew up without his father because, you know, he went from doing drugs or selling drugs to doing drugs, you know. And she said what she would do though is she would go find examples of masculinity throughout the community to help install principles so that he could have somebody that he looked up to. Because oftentimes when you do have woman-led households, they think that they can take the place of a man. And what I learned though is, like, for me, when my mother would tell me certain things, it wasn't that she wasn't right, but I still rebelled because I never wanted to become my mother. So I felt like if I listened to everything that she said, I would become just like her, right? And so therefore I rebelled and I looked up to my father more, even though he had more absence inside the household. And I say that to say this, is that you have to search and seek and find examples, whether you're a grown man, whether you have a young boy. If you are not the example, you have to find one. Like for me, the Nation of Islam, every time I do an interview, I just did one the other day, and they always ask me for that source, and I never tell them myself, because I know some brothers who are divine examples, and I'm gonna say, if the system and the institution of so-called white supremacy is the issue and they are the they, then the solution will be the institution over there at the Nation of Islam. Because when you're looking for representatives of masculinity, I mean, I know we represent it, that's why the brother called us. You understand me? I'm talking about brothers that go into the community, brothers that start families, brothers that study divine principle and act on those examples. You do not have to look too far. But it's disrespectful when we ask, and not talking about you, but when we have the general question, as if we don't exist. Why do we keep looking for a space alien or some, I don't know, maybe we looking for Caesar Borgia to come back and be a better example? I'm not sure, but we already here. You understand me? And by no means am I nowhere near perfect. I'm a striving brother working on himself on a daily basis. But I can see perfect examples and principles, and the principles are what I tell people to follow. You understand me? Because when we talk about the person is representing the principles, right? The character. And if you can see the character throughout time and through our ancestral line, we can look at what did Marcus Garvey have? He had a beautiful speaking ability to be able to bring the people together and organize chapters across the world and form and formulate business. You understand me? That this government was afraid of. We can go look at Noble Drew Ali. He was teaching people knowledge of self and history and nationality and organizing people and creating media outlets. Then we can go look at Frederick Douglass as an abolitionist. We can either go through history, we can look at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, how he spread his message. We can look at Dr. Khaled, how he was fierce and they hated him. Talking about ban, he wouldn't have been able to create an Instagram page. You understand me? Then you got the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is the longest living example of a black man leading in America to ever exist. So if we want to be real, and I don't care what your background, your ideology, your philosophy, your belief, your economic class, state, or level, if you tell me that you go past the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and you look for other examples besides him because you have a disagreement, you're not the type of person I'm looking to speak with in the first place. So for me, I think that the buck stops there, but it carries on with us. I'd like to say something on that. So we talked about the principle, we talked about the righteousness and the masculinity. The brother's got to, nobody wants a broke brother. Right. You know what I'm saying? He can't be in the household giving you all of this. He go preach you to death because he ain't got no paper. You understand me? So the man has to be able to create a plan, right? If you do not have a plan, as he talked about it earlier, but to break down the details of that, he has to have a plan, a financial plan. Because when we look at the reason why most of marriages fall and we can't keep black families together is because of money. And we don't talk about money enough. Now, we talked about the real high value and the principles, but the reality of it does come down to having money, because the money is a testament to what the man can do. We are in a world where we're now revisiting what is the future of money. And for a man to have the ability to manufacture and to produce for himself, that is a direct correlation with his power and who he is. But it's not a measurement of whether he's a good man or not. But a good man should have some money. But money don't make a good man. So if a man does not have a plan to understand financial literacy in the household, and he can't teach a child, you understand me, how to create a business plan, how to understand investment, how can he consider himself a man in that area? But when that area is covered, now the family can think more long term. But if you are stuck in the survival, it's going to be a lot of anxiety in that household. Y'all going to be stressed out, fighting each other. Because you can only afford peace for so long, then you got to go back to work. So when you talk about heaven, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that heaven is money, good homes, friendships of all walks of life. So the man should have some money, he should be able to provide a good home, and he should have enough friends of all walks of life, connections and network, where you can say that man can produce heaven for me. So for me, that is a direct correlation. If you're going to be choosing or deciding the measurement of your ability as a man, and I was talking to my brothers about this the other day, and many people, because people call, they ask me for money, and I'm like, we got the same 24 hours. I just put my mind to different things, and you must not be focused on what I'm focused on. Then I can give you a list on what I'm focused on. Can you discipline yourself to focus on that? Well, if you don't like to do that, I got another list for you of different things you can do. So one of the greatest attributes of manhood is work. Because if you have a non-working man, that's when he's really broken. Broken will, broken spirited. So he has to have that ability to write a plan, bring it into fruition, and he has to work it into existence, not just speak it. This ain't no, let's just law of attraction, kumbaya, light some sage and meditate on this. No, he got to be able to work it into existence, because the distance between what you have and what you want is what you don't know. And the plan in your work ethic is the acceleration that takes to get to that destination that you want to complete at. So to me, work is the key.
Thank you, brother.
Yes. Shit, my book, Paradigm Key, Solution-Based Mind Reprogramming. People don't never like to plug their books, but I mean, I wrote it to help change your mind and get you right. But of course, every one of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad books. I even like Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I think that one really gets people on key and focus, as I always tell people to read that book. But yeah, I think if you can start with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you understand me? There's the Farrakhan books, slide mine in there, and tap into the Napoleon one.
Appreciate it.
Well, number one, because we got the wrong programming, right? If we had the right programming, we wouldn't have to deprogram and then put in a better one, right? And your programming is the system that controls the way you think and behave, right? So if we look at the household income of Black America, it means that we have a broke program. It's very simple. So that means that we need a new one. So we need a new economic program. Every level of consciousness comes with a new language, right? Language is just not verbal, but it goes to how you act and how you move. It's the expression of who you are. So when I talked about it earlier, that, when you talk up somebody tell me that they broke, it means they don't work. It's simple. If you are broke, you don't work. But what part of you is not working? It's your mind, right? Why is your mind not working? It's not to say that your mind is not working. You're doing something every day. But what's in your mind is not productive. So at the basis of every level of consciousness starts with a new language. I think about what is the language of wealth. Because what's in your mind is your algorithm, right? If you take a man's paradigm and you say, well, you make $20,000 a year. You have a $20,000 a year paradigm, right? Your actions will only add up to $20,000 per year. That's your value. Now, how do you change that? Oftentimes a man has to fast, he has to detox from the things that he currently is programmed to do to put himself on a new rhythm and or frequency, because what you do frequently becomes your frequency. So school, we know, did not teach us a proper financial education so that we could become rulers and owners and controllers of institutions. So when we talk about financial literacy, when somebody is literate in something, it's not just the ability to speak it, because we can speak the wealth talk a lot in our community, but literacy, when you can read and write, it's the real act of understanding it and expressing it completely. So it has to be engineered in every aspect of our living. You know, I collaborate with my brothers at Earn Your Leisure, and they have a slogan called assets over liabilities, right? To understand that and make that a lifestyle, meaning that every single choice you make, you have to think upon, will this give me a return on my energy or not? Every conversation I have, will this give me a return on my energy, on my time or not? Right? Then you start to see, like, wait a minute, that conversation was an investment. It led me to this knowledge. I'm going to execute on what I was told. 3 months later down the line, that conversation gave you a return on your time. Why is it only when we think about the value of time is when we working for someone else? My time is worth $10, $15 an hour. Well, if I'm talking to you for an hour, how much was that conversation worth to me? And everything don't have to be broken down in dollar signs and increments, but what is the value of how I become more productive and better as a human being? So at the core of the rhythm of reprogramming ourselves is understanding that everything we do has to be valuable. Usefulness determines your value. So if you're talking to me and it's not useful information, it's not valuable information. When they put out the statistic of 2053 saying that we will have 0% wealth, that's a programming number one. It only becomes a reality if we believe it and we act off that belief. Right? But how many times have you walked outside and you've seen a billboard that says, no, by 2053, black people will be able to own 19% of the wealth. By 2053, black people will be more educated. By 2053, black people will have ownership. There is no programming towards the pro-consciousness of wealth in our reality. None. Every time we hear statistics, it's about how much we don't do something, how much we don't circulate, how bad our families is. So that means that the programming outside the world is programming your inner world for you to produce the reality you see outside the world. So when we talk about programming, we have to go into the core of who we are, and that starts at language. I can tell a man and what he thinks by what he speaks. Let me listen to him for a little while. I know what's going on in his mind. Because even within the English language, we don't know all of the words. Everybody that study like Malcolm X, the whole dictionary, where they can break down all of these different definitions of words and utilize a full vocabulary. But when it comes to economics, you should be able to easily name 10 assets off the top of your head the same way you can name your top 10 rappers, or you can name your top 10 basketball players and debate about them with a passion as they get paid to make more money than you, and you are being trapped and entertained by them. So the reprogramming is saying that, wait a minute, man, my time is worth something. I'm worth something. My perspective is worth something, right? I went to Egypt recently. How did the Egyptians get their wealth? They understood the power of agriculture, the timing of, you know, the stars and astronomy in connection to when the Nile River will rise and it'll go lower, and when they can plant vegetation and they can feed their people. That was the key, how well they took care of their people. They still had a system, the pharaohs at the top, the priests, the military, right, the artisans. Then you have the poor class. But the poor class had food, clothing, and shelter. So when they gave them a job to do, they did it happily. Now, not everybody trying to become rich or wealthy. That's why, even though it was on the agenda that we was going to talk about wealth, it's empty. Everybody didn't stay because everybody don't believe that they're supposed to be wealthy. We believe in poverty way more than we believe in wealth. We believe poverty will run in our family way more than we believe wealth will run in our family. So the constitution of our belief creates our reality. So in my book, I talked about future tense language and present tense language. See, we program with an English language. It's a bastardized language because anybody can just make up words and they can just throw in a new word that has a meaning. But it has no true rhythm or vibration. So the English language makes us think of time in the future. It makes us procrastinate a lot too, right? To where you say, I will do something, I'm going to do this, I'm doing that next. There's so many words that references the future instead of the now. If you speak Mandarin is all about now. They say, bye now. They're not being disrespectful, they think in the present. They have a present tense reference. So this was a study done by an economist, and he, by the name of Robert Chen, and he wanted to understand that there was a correlation between languages that have a lot of words that reference the future versus languages that reference the present. And what he found out is that in some of those countries where they had present tense language, they saved more money, they smoked less, because what happened was is they started to think about their reward in the now, not later, right? So if you tell me about wealth, then I'm automatically going to think about what I can do now. But when you think about wealth, I guarantee you thinking about this as an idea far in the future. Oh, wealth is 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So your programming language is to think linear of time. But there's a language where everything is present. So I do everything now. So wealth is generated from the thinking of a man and a woman in the way that he speaks, in the way that he acts, in the way that she speaks, in the way that she acts. And the first act of wealth is understanding who you are, understanding your family. You understand me? And building your family, because family is a business. Like you with your wife, you plan to get married, you have children. Your children are your first workers. You understand me? Your wife is your first partner. You understand me, if you're lucky. So when we talk about wealth, and before we get into crypto and blockchain, because I'm going to tell you, I made $15,000 today while I was speaking. Not from the speaking, I'm doing this essentially for free. But I made it because I know how to invest in cryptocurrency. So when a brother tell me that he don't know how to make no money or he ain't got no opportunities because I'm in Albany, Georgia, you got a phone that's global. The moment that you start telling me there ain't no opportunities here, I understand that you don't understand the world. And you consistently look for excuses because I know for a fact that you've seen me travel the world. I know for a fact that you've seen people make money off their phone, so you ignored that. Picked up the excuses and start carrying those around so you can build nothing with it. So when we talk about reprogramming, it starts in the present and understanding that the decision you make in the present creates your future. I didn't want a mic drop. I just yeah, no, I definitely start with education, man. A fool gonna lose anything he inherit any and every time. So especially in today's market, there's multiple ways you can go about it. You understand me? I would first invest in myself. And that'll mean me starting a business, whether I'm starting getting me an ebook, whether I'm starting anything. I want to have experience, number one, with creating a business and a product so I can always fall back on myself. You understand me? Number one, that's the first thing I'm going to do because that's what I've done, right? So like right now, somebody had $10,000, you can go start a social media business like Brother Ben. You understand? We do with digital real estate. And or you can create your ebook, or you can become an affiliate marketer, or you can do Amazon selling, or you can go do really so many different things, but you would have to, write down what type of business would I actually start, and what would I be good at based on the skill sets that you have now, and what would I be passionate about, so therefore you can do it long term, right? So therefore you have a stream of income coming in, because if you got $10,000, it won't be $10,000 the moment you spend your first dollar. So that means you have to do everything accountable so that it's going to something favorable. So I would start a business first, then I start looking at investments so that my money is making money while I'm chilling. And then those investments can be multiple different things. If I've only got $10,000, I want to be a little more aggressive on how I go about. So therefore, me personally, stocks is getting beat up right now. We're in the midst of a recession, shit's gonna get worse. So I'm not gonna start with stocks right now. In a more favorable economy, I would, and if I had more money, I would, just so they can sit there safely. But right now, I go after crypto and NFTs. That's one of the things that we teach our students. I got a student that was able to take $500 when he first started. Now he has a 6-figure portfolio in NFTs, right? And that's over the course of a few months. And it's not because it was magic, he had a large following, any of those things. Simply studied the market, understood when to get into the market and when to exit, right? Every person literally in here can do the exact same thing, but it depends on how much time you're willing to put in, right? So the mindset of that person that got the 10K is gonna be up to them whether they actually do something with it or not. Everybody got equal opportunity. So I will go into, and when I say NFTs, it's not like you just jump into the market and you just buy something and you just win. It's gonna be a lot of education first so that you have a strategy, so when you make decisions, you auditing why this is valuable, why it's not, the same way you'll get into a stock, right? Same way you will audit a company on why I should invest in this, how it's gonna give me a return. Same thing with cryptocurrency. There's opportunities every single day. Today they had probably one of the biggest NFT projects to date is about to launch, and these boys about to make $300 million on digital land sales. So when I hear that amount of money about to be made, there's a way to be able to make money, right? Anytime you talk about a new emerging billion-dollar industry, then that means that there's a lot of money that people are making in between those billions and billions of dollars. That's a lot of flow of money, right? So therefore, I would look at, for aggressive returns, I would look at these new emerging markets where there's a high volatility in it, which means that, it's a kangaroo market for me, meaning that it's not a bear or a bull. A bear is when it's all the way down, and the bull when it keep going up. But the kangaroo is when it go up, and it go down, and go up, when it go down. To me, that's the best time to make a lot of money in the market, right? You just have to understand that you got to get in and sell as it goes up, and as soon as it go back down, I'm selling again. I literally just did that a second ago, because they launched what they call in the NFT place, Apecoin. It's a cryptocurrency. I seen it go, I bought it early, it went up, I said I'm gonna sell, I'm not about to hold on to this. I understand some technical analysis, so I'm gonna look at the chart real quick. All right, cool. And it's based on speculation, so I know a lot of people go buy the rumor, day of, they gonna sell the news. So I'm gonna sell at the top, the all-time high. As soon as it go back down, I'm gonna buy in. Why? Because I'm taking my profit out, right? It's a simple strategy of buying low, selling high, and then washing, rinse, and repeat consistently. So like if you learn a skill set that builds assets, now you don't have to worry about a job or anybody else paying you anything. And that skill set is gonna come from the mindset, right? Because when you have a mindset, you can jump into any industry and then you can start to learn the general principles of it, and then you can find a way to strategize and pull some money out of it. And it's like a river, and the skill set to me is like a bucket. So when I see a flow of currency and the money being made in any industry, my skill set is that bucket that allowed me to get into that flow, right? So the education is going to build up that mindset and that skill set, right? So skills to pay your bills for me. But I think that, and this is generally for everybody, every single person in here should write a book. Like, every single person should write a book. Like, legacy is the accumulation of assets that you're able to pass down. So there's no wealth without legacy. He talked about his father. His father left him a legacy because he had assets. Not physical assets, but the mental jewels that he left through example. Now it's time for us to actually leave something behind. But a book can be an asset. If my father had a book and I got on social media, I would have sold my father's book. I would have sold my mother's book. You understand me, as an affiliate marketer. But now each person can go on here, go sit in front of a camera for 2 hours, 3 hours about a subject or a story that you want to tell, and then go on Fiverr and have somebody edit it a couple of times, and then go upload that on the Shopify store that you can damn near start for free, and now you become an author. So when people ask you what you do on top of your job, oh, I'm an author. They'll be like, oh my God, I love that. Especially if you got a young child and they start becoming an author at 5, 6, 7. We taught multiple children how to write books within 3 weeks. They wrote those books, authored those books, and started making money. Because the moment somebody see a child writing a book, they're like, oh my God, that's so sweet, they spend money on it, right? And then if it's an ebook, you don't even got to print out physical copies yet. But when you're ready and you get enough money, you can go on 48-hour books, and then you can have 500 books delivered at your door in 2 days. So not only you can become an author, you can have physical copies of a book ready to go sell. Now all you need to do is find your customers. It's 7.5 billion people on the planet Earth. Somebody else's mother and father made your customers. You just got to figure out how to get everybody else's money in your pocket. That's my key. You understand me? If you want to know, I was in downtown Los Angeles and I was in the skyrise and I was looking around. I said, man, there's billions of dollars around me. How do I get in the flow of money? So that means that money is made to be exchanged for things of value. So I need to create something valuable, right? So that if I go talk to brother Boyce Watkins, I know he got some money. Brother, listen, man, I'm an entrepreneur. I just wrote this book, brother, on mindset. You understand me? I ain't asking you for nothing, but if you check out this book, you understand me? If you want to exchange that 20 for it, that'd be nice. So it's gonna go from his pocket to my pocket. So I'm always trying to figure out how do I get, you understand me, my money out of other people's pocket. It's already mine. I just haven't gave him something of value to exchange for it. So the moment that you create value, you create money. Because literally people have money to buy things of value. Right? Now, if you create something worth 1,000, somebody will pay you 1,000. Create something worth 10,000, they'll create. Now, if you create it for a lot of people, you have volume of selling somebody for $10 to 1,000 people. That's 10,000. So for me, I play percentages. You understand me? I play the volume game and I play the value game. You understand me? Everybody is ready to buy something. You might have probably gonna spend it on some chicken, hookah, and a drink, but now I done got you to spend it on knowledge. Because I told you that's the best way to change your life, because that dry ass chicken you eating is killing.
I'm gonna go before Dr. Boyce,
because I think saving is the worst plan. Because saving don't actually save your money, especially with inflation right now. It's about 10%, you understand me? So really you're accruing maybe 2%, but it's gonna get even worse. So you'll be better putting that money aggressively into the market, right? Like at the end
but I didn't say save as account, I said save.
Right, but save, but it's to accumulate interest, right?
Depending on what you put in.
But I'm saying particularly for that Roth IRA, you want to put it into the market and then the market pay you out some on top of what you put in there, right? Specifically for Roth IRAs, you understand me, if they're saying 5,000 into crypto, you'd be a millionaire 5 years ago, right? So that's different. The opportunities are a little different and aggressive right now when we're talking about the marketplace. Plus, intellectual property, I'll bet on myself 100% all day long. You understand me? I'd rather take that 5,000 to become a wholesaler, get in between deals, and then I'll be able to make a lot more money. For me, it's so dangerous right now when you really understand the times that we living in. Like the dollar ain't really worth nothing, so it ain't really worth nothing to save. Cash is trash. You understand me? Like even if the market really like just does what it's probably gonna do to next year, where it has a 30-40% slump, that Roth IRA ain't bring you no returns. You understand me? So for me, my message is never save money, because money don't never save nobody if you save it. You have this like a lazy kid that's just sitting on your couch. You got to go out there and go get you some money and bring some more back. You understand me? So right now, I believe that the aggressive play is key. Scared money don't make no money in this market. You understand me? And that same 5,000 can be put towards an education. Right? Like if one part of the education works for you, why not double down and go get more education so that it can work for you even more? Like black people specifically, if we do it, let's say if we do the exact same thing that white folks and Asians and everybody else do, we still lose. Because we behind them by like $10 trillion. You understand me? A black college graduate still has less assets than a white high school dropout. So even if we take the exact same financial tools and instruments and use it in those capacities, we lose. We in the worst position. So I believe that we have to utilize the technology, the tools, all of these financial resources that are beckon today and be as aggressive as possible while being smart, right? So I'm not saying just go gamble and risk all of your money. You definitely have to have a plan like we talked about. But if you believe that saving is going to save you, you won't be saved.
Well,
I guess it's just a question about having assets, period, but $100,000 worth of assets. I go back to capital D, diversification. You understand me? Look at the wheelhouse of the things you own. I'm a first IP. You understand me? All your children should have intellectual property. You understand me? You should have intellectual property. Something that you produce from your mind, something that you own for yourself. You understand me? And we're in a technological age, you understand me? Like, it's even important for your child to have their own website. I seen a girl talking the other day. She said the way that she brings value to rich men when she dates them is a lot of times they don't have their own real email set up, right? So she'd go get their business and email, or she'd start them a website and a personal website for themselves, and create them a funnel. And this was her way of bringing value to them. And I thought that was clever, because ain't no woman I've been with ever done that for me. but it's something you will have forever. And a lot of people ain't gonna never do that for themselves, right? But intellectual property is key in this era, especially in this digital era, having something of value. But beyond that, when we go into the diversification, you know, of course, I like gold. You understand me? Gold is not a you know, sexy commodity that's gonna give you aggressive returns, but it's still a hedge in this time. It's still God's money. You understand me? Now, America consider God gold, oil, and drugs, but gold is still within there, right? And then stocks. I'm still gonna invest in stocks. You understand me? I'm gonna do like my brother Ian says, to tech, to index. I'm not really looking for something sexy in the stocks as well. I'm looking for something that's gonna give me consistent returns over time. And ATF is when somebody else is managing the stocks in that portfolio as the times go up and down. So they making those decisions for you if you don't have the time to be a real financial manager and have that skill set under your belt. The next, of course, you know, having cash on hand is more so if I'm thinking about, I think about wealth as far as time and the time you can afford, right? So I look at the accumulation of all my bills and I say, well, if it costs me $1,000 to live and I need $12,000 to be able to afford a year's worth of time of wealth. You understand me? It's the same thing if you want to account for your children, how much time and how much wealth you want to pass down to them, right? If you calculate the rising housing cost and the rent cost in your area, right, and you look at that percentage, look at how much it will cost for your child to be housed over the next 10 years. You understand me? And if you can accumulate enough wealth to pass them that down, then I think that that's key, whatever that number hits. Because the amount of money you're going to need is increasing every single year because of the way the economy is going. So if you really want to get mathematical with it, then you want to make a formula out of, you know, how much wealth you want to pass down, because that's what I do for myself, right? If I say that I'm wealthy, well, how much wealth do I have? If everything stopped today, how much can I afford? Maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, so I got 3 years worth of wealth, right? If I lose that money, it comes back down, only got 2 years left. Right, if I count inflation, the amount of family members I got to take care of might come down to 1 worth of wealth. If I could count bad decisions and, you know, anything that can happen in the market, it might be 6 months, right? So you got to be realistic when you actually thinking about what wealth is, because you have to contribute so many different changing factors in the world. So I'm gonna look at stocks, I'm gonna look at crypto, I'm gonna look at NFTs, I'm gonna look at all forms of money. There's a book called The Future of Money, right? I think everybody should read. And it basically deals with, you know, they said that, and I'll leave on this point, Switzerland was the first bank to have a paper note backed by the bank, a debt note, right? And they also announced that by 2030, they're going to completely get rid of paper money and only go digital, right? And then Genghis Khan grandson, Kublai Khan, was the first to introduce a paper dollar that was not backed by anything besides the threat of death. He basically said, if you don't use my money, I'm gonna kill you, right? But China is basically completely digital, and they're going to be completely digital very soon. If you go over there, you won't need any money. You can use your phone to pay for everything. So that means that we're completely going into a digital world, right? So the digital assets that you own would now be money. So NFTs, you know, my personality type is to be able to see patterns and get an intuitive feel about things, but also be mathematical enough to understand the value of it. A lot of people may get an intuitive, you know, idea of what the future is, but they don't have enough intellect to understand what it really means fast enough to make a decision on that. So when you get all this information and you question it, what the hell money is going to be, I don't know if it's gold, I don't know if it's NFTs, I don't know if it's crypto, I don't know if it's stocks, I don't know if it's real estate. Diversify and invest in all of them. I think that is the most expert advice anybody on the planet can give you, because it's the most non-expert advice, because you can't be an expert in these turmoil times. You have to invest in everything, right? So if you go pass down your children or yourself, whatever you want to pass down, give them enough of everything so regardless of what happens, they will have something of value that they can leverage.
That's why I love 19 Keys, man. Like, we definitely agree more than we disagree. And
just for a point, it wasn't that I disagreed on the fact that You need to have your money working. It was just the IRA specifically, because you know you can stake crypto, you can do a bunch of different things besides that specific strategy. So I agree with you with just that specific detail.
Strategy, not destination. And I consider 19 Keys, I use a lot of basketball references. I consider his personality a Michael Jordan personality. So the way I look at passing down wealth to my son is I want my son to be a Michael Jordan, but I also would be cool with my son being Robert Horry.
To add on to what he said, the new one is on the blockchain. So Ethereum name service. You understand me? If you would have bought it a year ago, you would have got free money like I did. I went and bought all of my domain names on the blockchain. So you can go to Ethereum name service, and there's a few other. Right now, actually the coin is trending right now. I don't know why. But a lot of people are buying and selling people names. So instead of the .com, it's the .eth, the .blockchain. I went and bought a lot of them. You understand me? Because now there's a secondary market that people are getting hip to, and they want to buy their name because it's connected to a wallet. It can be connected to a store, right? Anything that they type in, and they type in, you know, Dr. Boyce Watkins .eth, then it's going to automatically go to that wallet that's connected to that name. You understand me? And or they can create a store, whatever it works. If you don't understand it, that's Web3, that's the blockchain, that's the new opportunity, that's the new gold rush. And I know people are making money right now, today, you understand me, on that. So you can literally, over the next, 5 years, become an expert at that. And I'm 100% sure that's a 6-figure to 7-figure opportunity.
I definitely bought my name on there. That's how you know. It ain't just him. It ain't just blockchain.com.
They gave me $15,000 just for buying my name because they had an airdrop. And anybody who bought their name, they gave them free tokens, which was worth something when it dropped. So I was able to get $15,000 just for buying my name. There's a lot of opportunities in that Web3 space. But we ain't got no more time.
We out of time. Thank everybody for attending. King, great job putting this whole day together. Man of the hours in the back. Everybody give King a big round of applause for putting this together. Enjoy your evening, and the march tomorrow is at what time? Well, King, he can't say nothing. His voice is gone. Travis, what time is the march? 3 o'clock. You want to tell him where to be?
You got you a copy of one of these yet?
Yeah. How much is that?
Just 20. You can buy, take on to the family and friends.
Yes, sir. Likewise. Appreciate it.
But I'm about to introduce these people that's one from because
I want to be here. That's why I was like, when I came to you, I already know.
Well, I mean, if you got the will to do it, then shoot, you just need the knowledge.
Yeah.
And then once you get the knowledge, it just depends on if you're lazy or focused.
Yeah.
You get the, not like, what's your excuse after you know what to do?
Yeah.
That's just on you. Then that's when the tough part gets, because now you got to look at yourself every day and say, why am I not doing it if I know what to do?
Most definitely. We're trying to build more opportunity out here, man. It's not much out here. It's not like we can go.
Yo, I'm Big Keys, man. We doing blockchain things over here at the Block World Order. We learning about cryptocurrency, how to trade it, how to buy it, how to sell it. What are the strategies that we need to jump in and out? We're getting signals for trading. We're learning about NFTs, how to build them, how to utilize them in your business. We learned about STBs, soul-bound tokens. We learned about DAOs, the future of businesses, organizations, institutions. We learned about blockchain technology. All of these great concepts that you're hearing about in the world, the metaverse, this gaming, we actually gonna learn how to build it. We're gonna learn everything about it from the basics to the masterful side of it, right? Once you join Block World Order, you will now be a part of a community that will be working to build out the future. Not only are we gonna be learning how to build it out, but how to take advantage and gain wealth within it. During these uncertain times, you cannot be without the skill sets of the future. Make sure you tap into the Block World Order. Because not only are we learning technology, but we're learning you. That's right, I said you. We're learning how you can take your mind and you can increase your intelligence by learning these new learning skills. learning how to hack the human mind, learning how to become a better version of yourself by understanding your multidimensional capacity, how to go from being nothing to empty your mind to where you can tap into new skill sets and start learning 30 to 40% better, to where you can have increased confidence, increased focus. We don't just want you to learn blockchain technology, we want you to learn yourself. Make sure you tap into the Block World Order. There's a new world and a new you way.